We can actually become friends with sadness, with fear, with anxiety, with boredom, all kind of unpleasant emotions.
Tonight we will be talking with my colleague Sanja about emotional intelligence, about emotions. At any time, if you have any questions, feel free to write them and she will also try to answer them. But maybe first I would like to introduce our guest. Sanja Stanković is founder of an NGO From Love We Grow. She also works as an HR manager and has quite a important background in fields of emotional intelligence, but also working in non-governmental, governmental and business sector. So maybe I will give her now a chance to introduce herself a bit, to share her story with us and whatever you think it might be interesting for people watching us tonight.
Thank you, Vesna. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very grateful that I can be a part of this project, really. Hello guys, I'm glad that I'm with you today and hopefully I can share some useful information regarding emotional intelligence. I am a sociologist, but I have experience with applied psychology and things related to mental health. At the moment I'm working as an HR manager in a 5-star hotel and a famous wellness resort at Fruška Gora. So, well, apparently my job is taking care of mental health of people around me. I experienced the importance of emotional intelligence when I was very young. I was a child with parents who were born with physical disability, so I had the challenge like facing the environment when I was young. And then by accident I just read some psychological books and they were mentioned like how we can't choose the circumstances in our life, but we can always choose the way we are going to deal with them.
Yeah.
So that's how I became interested in this topic, and now I think it's very useful to share all these things with you.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you also have your own personal story and that this team actually had quite an impact also and helped you in your own private life. So maybe for the beginning, because I think the term of emotional intelligence is quite popular and all of us heard it constantly, but maybe people are still more or less sure what it actually means. So maybe the first question would be, what is emotional intelligence?
Yeah, emotional intelligence is actually a set of skills because it consists of few pillars. It's actually self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation and social skills. So it's 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. And it's not only being aware of our own emotions and emotions of people around us, it's also ability to regulate our emotions and our ability to communicate effectively about emotions with our surrounding. Also, it is ability to feel empathy, like to, when you feel like you can be in somebody else's shoes, so you can see things from their point of view, and also social skills, something like that is known as soft skills in business sector mostly, and it's very useful not just in business sector but in regulating everyday communication, starting with our partners, our family members, our colleagues at university, and for people who are in business sector with clients, customers and members of their team as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think now it's quite clear for people, so it's not just one thing, it actually consists of many different things, so it's like a set of skills.
Exactly.
Like the pillars, like it consists of a lot of pillars that actually all together make us emotionally intelligent in a way.
Yeah, and at the same time, like we can be very high in our ability to be self-aware, so we can be mindful about what emotions are we dealing with, but at the same time maybe we don't have like developed sense of empathy. So like just being on a high level, you know, in just one pillar doesn't make us like completely emotionally intelligent.
Yeah. Okay, so why do you think it's important to become aware of our emotions and also to learn how to control them?
Yeah, there is actually a saying: if you don't know how to regulate your emotions are going to regulate your life. I like that saying, and in order to regulate your emotions, you actually need to become aware of what you are feeling. That's like the first step. Like, okay, now I'm worried, or I feel some sort of anxiety or fear, and I can, you know, sense some unpleasant, you know, sensations, maybe in my stomach, maybe in my shoulders, maybe a terrible headache, something like that. And then I can become aware, like, okay, what's the thought that's triggering this emotion? And by changing the thought or changing the approach, you know, to the certain circumstances, you know, like, because as I said at the beginning, you know, you can't choose like what's happening, but you can always choose how you're going to deal with that.
Yeah, I think it's actually, the more we talk about it, I think we come to realize why is it so important. Because I think that what happens, unfortunately, in our society is building up that cognitive abilities and our intelligence, and we find that quite important. But I think that nowadays people are more and more talking about emotions and emotional intelligence, and actually finally realizing that if we can't control our emotions, then it might also impact our cognitive abilities in certain situations and decision making and all other factors that can really be influenced by our emotions.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we don't think that we should suppress some things, because sometimes people, well, especially in business sector, where there is that belief, you know, like you need like a cool head and everything, like there is no space for emotions. They think they should, you know, in order to be successful, in order to like look important, like you need to suppress emotions, and there is no such a thing as, you know, suppression, you know, to be very, you can't be successful, you know, in a long term, like if you're suppressing something. So it's enough to become aware of what you're feeling, you know, and to become aware of what thought is triggering your emotion, and then there are so many techniques, you know, so you can just, you know, lower the feeling of unpleasant emotion, you know.
Why do you think it is important to develop emotional intelligence in daily life?
Yeah.
What can it bring to people?
Well, so many things, exactly. It's very important because it is actually proven, scientifically proven, that people who are emotionally intelligent, they're very successful in academic life. They live actually more healthy lives. They experience more often pleasant emotions. They're healthier in a physical way as well. They have more successful romantic relationships, and, you know, because they have developed social skills and a sense of empathy, it's easier for them, you know, to create really meaningful relationships with others. So there's so many benefits.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm curious, I know you also work as an HR manager, but also you have your own NGO, and also within that NGO you have a school of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm curious, what would be, because this is quite a wide range of people that you work with, from maybe totally different backgrounds and places where they work from, how they were raised. So I'm curious, what would be maybe some of the challenges people usually are dealing with when it comes to emotions and emotional regulation, emotional intelligence in general?
Yeah, there are, very wide set of, things they're dealing with. But I noticed that mostly people don't allow themselves to actually feel all kind of emotions. Well, first of all, they think sometimes they think they should feel only pleasant emotions. Well, you can read about positive and negative emotions, but I don't like this term because all emotions, even unpleasant one, they have their own function in our lives. So, for start, some people are raised with this irrational belief that they shouldn't feel like fear. Sometimes that's sadness, and sometimes that's even love, or they think like they're not worth of being loved.
Mm-hmm.
So for start, we're working in my School of Emotional Intelligence that I'm conducting with my colleague Adrian. We are doing on that to become aware, what are their beliefs and how to experience all kind of emotions, and what are the positive functions of unpleasant emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And regarding business sector. There is a problem with people who are more aggressive than assertive, like people who are like mostly in top management level. They're not so good in showing empathy towards their team. They're not so good at showing vulnerability, and because of that, their team is not satisfied, they don't see them as leaders, and they're not motivated. So they need to work more on that, like how to criticize but in a constructive way. So that's the thing that I'm working on that with them.
Yeah, so I guess not expressing emotions and not allowing ourselves to feel is actually what people maybe struggle the most.
Yeah, and sometimes there's this irrational belief that we need. It's not about emotion, but like the way we are expressing emotion. Like some people think, like they say, "I'm never angry. I don't feel anger at all." That's not good. But like first condition, for being able to feel anger, is that you believe that you are worthy. Because if you believe that you don't have a right, to express your feelings, that your feelings and your needs are not important, that you won't be able to to feel anger. And the second thing is, sometimes there is they find like anger like a bad thing because they think that's like the same thing like being aggressive. But there is a certain way, expressing your anger.
Yeah, it's true. And often I think it's connected also with gender. Maybe especially in this region, like how we were raised, it's not polite to express anger. Or also maybe for boys, it's not okay to cry because you can be seen as weak. So I think also this, I guess, probably has quite a lot of impact on how we express our emotions.
Yeah. Well, most of the time, it's not a rule, but like most of the time, like we are raising boys, like telling them like, like big boys don't cry, and all sorts of things, and that's not true. Actually, I was working with women a lot, and I came to conclusion that emotional intelligence is one of the most desirable things that women are looking for in men. So, guys, you need to develop this skill as soon as possible.
Great. I also maybe for the end wanted to ask you, what would be your message for people in general who are watching us, and maybe also for people who come to your trainings or that you come in contact with when it comes to emotional intelligence? What would be your advice, suggestion to people, message regarding this topic of emotions to them?
Well, I would tell them it's only an emotion, and we are not those emotions that we are experiencing. It's very useful to allow ourselves to to feel and to experience all set of emotions. And when we are dealing with something unpleasant, it's also the good reason behind of that. You know, it's if we are mindful enough, we can, you know, just ask ourselves, like, what does this emotion wants to tell me? So we can actually become friends with sadness, with fear, with anxiety, with boredom, all kind of unpleasant emotions. So you just need to be bold and allow yourself to feel everything, and that's the first step how you can learn how to regulate them.
Yeah, I think it's a really good message, and I think actually emotions can really tell us a lot about ourselves.
Yeah, that's the way how we can live more authentic life.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sanja, for tonight and for devoting your time to come here and to share your knowledge and experience. I will also invite everyone, if they have any questions, comments, feel free to post them in comment. So we can also respond, if not tonight, then during these next days. And thank you for watching us tonight.